It's NBL Now. It's the sudden death edition ahead of a couple of game threes in this NBL playoff series. The winners of those to head through to the championship series in only a matter of days' time. What a time it is in our competition. Joel Peterson with you on this Tuesday morning. Terrific to have Damon Lowery with me. Good morning, Damon.
JP, top of the morning, man. This is officially the pointy end.
It's right at the summit, right at the peak of what we're getting toward, which is very nice. And of course, we're sort of just crescendoing nicely before we get to the climax of the season with our championship series. A wild weekend of basketball. Saturday night in Perth was extraordinary what the Wildcats were able to do to come back on Melbourne United. And then Sunday at John Cain Arena, I was lucky enough to be there. The fire pit was absolutely jumping and the Phoenix rolled over the top of the Hawks. So we get two game threes. First of all, what were your sort of top line takeaways from the weekend?
Well, where do we start? Both teams responded. The Perth Wildcats responded. Southeast Melbourne Phoenix responded. Now, they normally say the series doesn't start until somebody wins on the road. Well, the series is about to end, and if one of those teams, those road teams, want to get it done and move on to the championship series, the time is now. What I most appreciated watching was the cold-blooded response from the man from Minnesota, the professional bucket getter himself, Matthew Hurt, who after storming off after game one, bitterly disappointed that he did not get the rock nowhere near enough. They went to him on the very first possession, and he scored, and he looked over there as if to say, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Don't forget who I am. And that's what the Phoenix, Joe, have been all season. They can just go through passages where they just forget about certain guys. And Matt Hurt is too tall to be forgotten about.
Too good to be forgotten about, I think, as well. Josh King played it pretty cool in the press conference after the game. He said, I didn't actually see the signal. I think he saw the signal. Matt Hurt was definitely just saying, thanks for drawing that one up, coach. It was a big bounce-back performance, of course, and Dylan Windler on Saturday night was huge. We'll talk about him shortly. Let's talk about the mental side for the teams coming into the game threes, though. First of all, for the winners, the confidence that they will get out of those two games, Southeast Melbourne and Perth, to do what they did. How do they channel that going forward?
There's always kind of two free swings in a best-of-3 series. So stay with me on this one, Joe. So the home team, Illawarra Hawks, game one in Illawarra, Southeast Melbourne Phoenix comes in and goes, hey, we're playing with house money. We got a free swing. We can't get eliminated after one game. Let's go in there and have a crack. If it works, it works. If not, we'll just go back to the heartland, go back to the fire pit. Okay, Illawarra gets game one. Now they go to game two in Melbourne. And now Illawarra says, hey, we got a free swing. We could end it right here, but worst case scenario, we go back home. So both teams kind of felt the same thing. Now, the way Illawarra lost game two is kind of encouraging if you're a Hawk supporter, because they lost, but it wasn't like they got blown out. They missed 12 free throws. They did not get any kind of major buckets, one bucket out of Trey Kell. Tyler Harvey was down. So they can go back home and say, you know what? We still scored 94, but you know that wasn't our best. So I feel like that was almost a respectable loss. You don't lose confidence from it. Now, Melbourne United, on the other hand, we'll talk about them later. So I feel like right now, Hawks are in the box seat, home game, everything to play for, and now the team that always responds last seems to win. So we'll see if that stays the same.
The Melbourne United challenge is it's a different one again, and Pete Hawley was pretty hot on this across the course of the last couple of days, that it is going to be a big hurdle for Dean Vickerman and his men to overcome. Just the mental side of what they're going to do. We'll talk about the X's and O's in a moment of that matchup against the Perth Wildcats, but the mental side of this for Melbourne, how do they manage, being up 20, losing that game, coming back across the country and having to do it all again tonight?
They're going to have to really rely on veteran leadership. When I say veteran leadership, I'm talking about Ian Clark, Matthew Dellavedova, and Chris Goldie. Those three guys. Everybody else can pitch in. This ain't disrespectful to Rob Lowe and Marcus Lee because Marcus Lee is a champion as well. They got a lot of pieces there, of course. But those three main guys, Delly is just going to play with his heart. He don't know any other way to do it. He would have already compartmentalized this whole loss in the right way and go, hey, okay, yep, we blew it. Now let's go back home and fix this. Chris Goldie knows that he did not. What did he get? He got one bucket in the second half, and that was at the very, very end of the game. You know he's not going to die wondering. So the one they got to get up is obviously Jack White. They've got to rally around this dude, and for all of Jack's potential and the brilliance that he has shown from time to time throughout the season, he is now at rock bottom mentally. From the foul line, I don't think anywhere else. He's still a great rebounder. He still can play some D. He's making his three balls. But if he is anywhere near that foul line in the clutch, it's probably going to be problems for him because that is a tough hurdle to make. So I feel like you Melbourne United, the way they lost that game, that stings. But because the next game is so quick, you don't have that long to stew on it.
Put your coaching bucket hat on here, your Kangaroos bucket hat. What would you say to Jack White? Like, what would you say to him to really instill that confidence in him that would no doubt be there, but would be being challenged at the moment?
Hey, Jack, there's 1 billion people in China that don't give a damn. There's 1 billion people in India don't even know your name. This is a privilege, man. You playing basketball for a living. Ain't like you working in Glenroy, Victoria in the factory of sadness like yours truly. You are in a great spot at home. What is the worst that can happen, man? Just shoot the damn ball, man. Let's not even make the big deal about it. This is just a phase, man. Everybody's kind of been through it. So I don't want to give it too much life. If I'm Dean Vickman, I'm just looking at him going, hey, man, first thing we doing is we're going to post you up, and I hope you get fouled. So jump right in the fire, man, and let it go. Don't worry, we got your back.
And if anyone does know his name, they probably just think he's the dude from the band that had that really catchy song. So Jack White's got a big challenge ahead of himself tonight to make all that work. Of course, it's going to be a huge night of hoops, and tomorrow night's going to be much the same as well. So overtime at 6 o'clock, that rolls into our pre-game coverage with Felix, with Copes, with Halls. That's thanks to basketball.com.au from 7. Game time, 7:30 in Melbourne at John Cain Arena. Let's go with the Perth side of it first. We saw finally what Dylan Windler could do. Even at the Blitz, people in Perth colours were talking about, this guy could really be seriously good. He could be up there with, probably our second best player and should be. We hope that he will be. That kind of performance that he put on Saturday night was what they hoped they might see more from him throughout the course of the year. Can he back that up, do you think?
I believe so. Now, Dylan Windler, an NBA first-round draft pick. I think he went 26 in the draft. Dude is a certified sniper. But he has a very nice guy, passive streak in him. Got to get rid of that, Dylan. Got to get rid of that, man. I feel like Dylan Windler's the kind of import that you can just see staying in Perth and just finish his career right here. Stay for 10 years, man. Him and along with Christian Doolittle, I feel like they are the right kind of guys, character-wise. Now, Dylan isn't just a shooter. He's a rebounder. He's a defensive player. Joe, in our imaginary defensive team that we're going to have next season, Dylan Windler, he could probably make that because he's blocking multiple shots a game. So, but it's the passages of play where he just lets the game come to him. And right now, the stakes are too high to wait around like that. It's one thing for Bryce Cotton to let the game kind of develop and get everybody involved. But Dylan, you got to get off straight away. Now, it was one shot he took where it showed me, okay, you got it now. He had a stare-down triple. He could have passed it. He was maybe a foot out from the three-point line. He just kind of stared. I think it was Flynn Cameron. He just kind of stared down and just said, you know what, to hell with it. Pulled nothing but cash. And I said, okay, now he's got it now. So he just got to start off the game with that mindset and maybe just tweak it for the rest of his career because he's that good.
You touched on the Bryce Colton side of things. We haven't seen the game from him yet. Shea Ili and that Melbourne defense, Ian Clark's done a good job on him as well. They've kept him under wraps. Is it coming? Is it there? Can he sneak away from this United defense?
This is what I'm worried about if I'm a Melbourne United supporter. I have not seen the Bryce game yet. It is tied up 1-1. Bryce got 22 in game one. What did he get in game two? 18?
18, yep. A couple of foul shots late.
And Shea Ili's doing a great job, but it ain't just Shea. It is the collective. Like, they are selling out on Bryce. So that's team defense at its best. Bryce is playing off the ball a lot. I feel like he's going to play more point and really force the issue. And I feel like they want to get this game up and down. Melbourne United have shown they cannot score big numbers consistently unless, of course, the gladiator, Chris Golden, goes nuts. But they're going to be in the 90s. Perth want to get in the 110 range. And to do that, Bryce is going to have to let a lot of shots fly. So I'm tipping Joe. Perth was my tip to get out of this series. And I feel like the stage is set for the MVP to drop a 40-piece.
Oh, wouldn't that be something special? For Melbourne, a lot went right for them in the first half on Saturday night. Not a lot went right in the second half. So what do they take from that first half that they try and capitalise on and bring to the table more tonight?
There's been a lot of talk about Perth Wildcats small ball. Now, it's not that small. You got Christian Doolittle and Dylan Windler. So what? So who's going to put out there that's bigger than that? So you're going to have Keanu Pender out there as well? But they got those two. Melbourne United small ball lineup, that is way too small. You can't be out there with four guards, Chris Golding, Ian Clark, Dellavedova, and Shea Ili. Way too small. And they had their fifth guy was Marcus Lee. So Dean Vick was going to have to roll the dice with Jack White. Okay, Jack, he had to take him out because he had the yips big time. But do you go Tanner Craigs, who's mobile, who came on and he played good in his minutes, knocked down a triple. See, the Tanner Craigs or Kyle Bowen or Rob. I mean, it's got to be one of them. I just don't like that Melbourne United being that small. That's how they got smashed on the glass because Dylan Windler came up with 11 boards, and he's bigger than four of their guys. So that put them under the pump. So I feel like Dean's going to have to really address that one.
All right, a tip, Melbourne or Perth?
Perth Wildcats, man. Perth Wildcats to get the, for all the people, too, that's been saying John really isn't who he think he is and maybe he's not the guy. And I'm not saying it's everybody. But I don't think one person in their right mind should think this man has got you to playoffs, playing in his first season, semifinal last season, lose to the eventual champs, and here you are again in the Final Four, one game away from championship series.
Can I help your point? Did they have as much talent as Sydney on paper? Did they have as much talent as Adelaide on paper?
No.
And here they are.
Get off this man's back. John really is coaching his ass off. He has unleashed, I should say, Benny Hinchell, who barely played last season. Now he's a starter, man. How good was his game? Like, in 32 minutes played, it might have been the most minutes he's played in an NBL. And to be out there chasing down prolific scores, that had to drive his NBA stock up. So, look, I feel like Johnny Reeves recruited well with Dylan Windler, with Christian Doolittle. I mean, what do you want from a guy? So, yeah, I'm tipping Perth to win this one. Who do you got?
Well, Perth were my preseason championship pick, so it would be wrong to jump off them now. So not that I'm jumping off the Melbourne United bandwagon, but I've been riding with the Wildcats all year, so I think I'll take them. But hopefully in a classic, it could be very, very special indeed if it goes the way you think with Bryce having 40. We will have a show again before Wednesday night, so before tomorrow night's game, we'll be back in your feed. But we do want to touch on that because, of course, we go back to Wollongong, and this is really what Illawarra worked all season for, to have home court advantage if they, have a playoff series and then if they make it through to the championship series. So that's exactly what they've got. They were flat. They were flatter than the love child of a pancake and a steamroller after that game yesterday, Damon. They were absolutely bereft, Justin Tatum and Will Hickey, in that press conference. They've got to bounce back now. Trey Cal and Tyler Harvey have to bounce back now. There was still enough positives in that game. Your heat check on the Hawks, do you think they've still got enough?
I said on Overtime show last week that the X factor for Illawarra Hawks was Trey Cal. And I kind of got scoffed at thinking, well, how can the first team all NBL guy, Trey Cal, be an X factor? And here's why. This dude has a passive streak in him, kind of like Dylan Windler from time to time. Sometimes Trey can just be so casual that it just snowballs into almost lackadaisical. Now he's not being aggressive. He's turning the ball over. He's not making shots. He's not the same all NBL guy. And I've seen him do this before when they went through a bit of a drought. I'm saying it's Trey. It all starts with him. He's got the ball. He's the point guard. For him to not finish the game, that shows you. Justin Tatum said, nah, man, you ain't got it. You're not bringing it. Come on, Davo. I know what I'm going to get out of Davo. So I'm not worried about Tyler Harvey. Not worried about him. Not worried about Sam Frawley, even though he was kind of down on productivity. Trey is the point guard. He is the guy that's got to get them off to a great start. If he gets off early, they will be fine. If he struggles, they can still be fine, but it might just be tougher.
And Southeast Melbourne, so Matt Hurt's going. They have a lot more confidence coming out of that game. And all throughout the year, we've seen this resilience from them, this ability to stick fat and stick tough throughout the course of the season. Now, how important is sort of everything that they've been through to this point when they go on the road for a game 3?
100% resilience. This team was dead in the water, we thought, at 0-5, and Josh King wasn't even in the country. And now here they are, one win away from the championship series. What a complete 180-degree turnaround. So now they go so far now, Joe, they can't say, hey, it's been a great season no matter what. We weren't supposed to be here. That narrative is out of the window. You can't use that. You are now 40 minutes away. And I would say, have we come this far just to get this far? So I feel like they can come out all guns blazing, provided they're not reckless. Like sometimes, when they're at their worst, things can get sprayed up early in the offense. Guys can go missing, not getting enough shots, etc. But if they can just harness all of that, and they've already got 3 wins over the Hawks throughout the course of the season, should give him a lot of confidence.
It's going to be a massive two nights of hoops. So tonight and tomorrow, the 2 game 3s in our playoff series. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Tell your family you'll call them on Thursday and lock in for 2 big nights of hoops. Damon, it's going to be awesome. Great to deep dive into it with you this morning, and look forward to your thoughts on it all later in the week.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Ready to rumble, we are indeed. Thanks for your company as well. NBL app, nbl.com.au, basketball.com.au for all your Aussie hoops news. And, of course, stay up to date with all the behind-the-scenes content on the NBL socials ahead of a couple of massive Game 3s over the next 2 nights.